What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dom and Pop DC Sports Talk Plus podcast. Already know what it is. We're going to recap the divisional round, get into our picks for the conference championships, Bada Bets exclusive episode, and we're bringing back Kickouts of the Week just for this special occasion. Stay tuned to find out what it is. It's going to be great. Pop, here we are, man.
We're here, man.
Can you
Crazy.
believe
Only
it?
2 games to pick.
Only
I have
three
a mix
football
of
games
emotions
left.
here: sadness and excitement.
I think I'm on to full sadness at this point. I was playing through my franchise mode in Madden last night, and it said something about like, oh, we were playing the Monday night game against the Eagles, and it was week 9, and they're like, oh, if the playoffs ended today, but the season goes by in a blink, and I was like, I can't believe it's already over.
Yeah.
It goes so every year it goes faster, but needless to say, we had some great football to watch last weekend. There were we were bookended by 2 pretty good games. The middle 2 were pretty
Yeah.
not much of a competition in either game there. But do you want to go game by game takeaways, or do you want to just give your favorite takeaways right off the bat? What do you think?
And you do not pay attention in production meetings.
You said we're not gonna. You said we're not
I'm,
gonna.
gi-
I mean, god
I'm
damn,
giving
Pop.
you a
You
hard.
said
Son, I was joking for the podcast and you just blew
okay
it up. I
because
said we're
you
not
bet.
going game by game. We're going to just give overall takeaways. I was just joking for the
You said
podcast.
we're not going play by play. I didn't know if you wanted to get a quick takeaway from every game because then you detailed every single bet we made on every game later in the outline. So it
Me
was
dispatch.
unclear.
Start from the top.
All right.
I didn't mean
No,
it
we.
that way. No, but
All right.
to answer your question, just overall takeaways,
All
2
right.
or 3 each.
The intro was good. I'll find an
Yeah.
edit point. Let's just get to
No,
the
no,
take.
just start from the top of this. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
You're the engineer.
Yeah, I'll find a good edit. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'll make it work. So let's get into some takeaways from the games. Enough setup, enough messing around here. Let's get right down to it. I mean, what were some? Obviously, the biggest headline out of the weekend probably is Patrick Mahomes' ankle injury.
Yep.
Has got to be a big one. In terms of Super Bowl implications, that's everybody's favorite team to pick. It was ours at the beginning of the season. It was ours in the middle of the season. It was ours before the playoffs. Super interesting to see how that plays out against Cincinnati. And then otherwise, I mean, Pop, did you have some takeaways there?
No, I mean, it wasn't, I guess, the best set of games. I don't think any of the games are what you would call classics.
No.
Jags were competitive, but never really, I would say, threatened the Chiefs. Philly just blew the doors off the Giants. Yeah, I would say the biggest surprise to me was the Bengals.
Yeah.
Pretty much dominance, not pretty much, but dominance of the Bills, and always great to see the Cowboys lose.
Yeah. That is always great. And in such brilliant Mike McCarthy fashion. Is just so like some really killer penalties that extend San Francisco's touchdown drive. Like obviously just some really goofy stuff going on there as a whole. It's just so brilliant to watch the Cowboys just do what they always do. They just get an extended regular season at this point. They just find a way to collapse every year. And it's like, I don't even like, after the Tampa game, I had a brief moment of like, I think I texted you. I was like, if Dak can play like that, they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I think there's a 0% chance Dak can play like that for 4 more games or for 3 more games. And sure enough, I was proven 100% correct. Dak comes back down to earth. San Francisco, it was a real grinder of a game. A lot of defense, not a lot of scoring. But San Francisco proved to be the better team there. So we'll see. I mean, we've got some good good matchups coming, but I hinted at it in the intro, and we're talking about the Dallas game. Should I waste any more time, or should we get right into the people's favorite segment?
We got to do it. It's been a while.
I think we do it. I mean, there's not a ton to talk about otherwise in terms of last weekend's game. So I think the what everybody took away, the last play of the weekend, the last drive of the weekend. But it's time. Let's bring it back, ladies and gentlemen. The kickots of the week. And no better way to bring it back than give it a good, big, juicy kickots of the week to the Dallas Cowboys and to Mike McCarthy on that final drive. I think you want to specifically do that final play call, but I'll give it an umbrella because the whole drive was just nuts. All before we get into the play call, I'll set up a couple things. The two plays by Dalton Schultz made down the sideline, the one where he goes out of bounds backwards and the clock keeps running, and then the second one where like his toe was this far from the grass and he just didn't feel like putting it down. Maybe he didn't know where he was, no awareness, incomplete pass, just unbelievable lack of situational awareness there. So, and then all of a sudden, you just see the craziest play you've ever seen in your NFL viewing career on 3rd and 10, and you just see it line up. And I don't know, Pop, give him the breakdown. Take me through your emotions as you're watching this happen here.
It's funny. Like I had already checked out of the game, so I'll have to admit, being transparent, I didn't really pay that much of attention to what happened live.
Yeah,
It was until the announcers after the fact kind of broke it down and showed Zeke Elliott lining up at center, just getting completely blown up on
yeah,
what is very likely his last play, or could be his last play as a Cowboy. I shouldn't say
mm,
likely, but there are thoughts that they may not want to pick up his contract. And yeah, just I mean, I don't know who the Niners lineman was that just obliterated him, but it was sort of like you're giving
yeah.
it to me. I'm gonna take it. And
That was awesome.
I mean, just very interesting play call. I'll just leave it
Yeah,
at that.
I mean, it's just we've seen some crazy end of the game scenarios. We saw the against Las Vegas. We saw what happened with New England with Myers throwing the interception backwards to the linebacker, and then he flattens Mac Jones and takes it back for a touchdown, right? But this one for me was just when you consider the scope of the stage of the game, and then you know the announcers are basically saying like, "Hey, Mike McCarthy, he's installed this. We've heard about this. He's got this crazy end of game scenario he's been working on all season." That's what they're saying. And you see Zeke lines up under center. San Francisco calls a timeout so that they can get the right personnel out there. And you know what they're thinking: just keep everybody in front of you and make a tackle. That's all you have to do.
Right.
And then Zeke snaps the ball and just gets like it was almost like when Derwin James took Travis Kelce and just bombed him. He just gets totally flattened. And now Dak's got three guys in his face. And so Dak does what Dak does, very similar to how Kirk's season ended. And he just throws a slant for like 8, 9 yards, barely past the sticks, maybe. And Kevontae Turpin catches the ball. And I guess the idea is to get the ball in his hands because he's the return man. He's slippery. And he just gets drilled as soon as he touches the ball. End of season. Just, I really want to I want to know what it looks like if it works. Like, I'm
So I guess it's
really,
all like I was trying to look the play up, but I guess they had like all skill position guys in
yeah,
spread out wide, and even that, like the discipline of like not having an ineligible man downfield because the skill guys are actually in the game as linemen.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it's creative, but like you said, especially after a timeout being called and they kind of figured it out, to go back to it and then to sacrifice your, you know, one of your best players in the last many years. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those things where if you're Mike McCarthy and you're already, I wouldn't, maybe not so much on the hot seat, but I wouldn't say Cowboys fans are like overly over the top for him. It's a high risk thing to do. I think
Yeah,
as a coach, I'd be thinking about, I'd be a little selfish in that moment
it's a little bit of
and be thinking,
self-preservation got to
I
kick
know,
in, right?
exactly, self preservation. That's the right thing. But you know what? Cazz, it was a beautiful thing.
It was a
I
beautiful
loved
thing.
every second of it.
It was a beautiful thing, and I mean, look, everybody's gonna break down every second of that play, but just the reaction to it on my end, I was just dying laughing. And it's just,
Yeah,
it it would have been one thing if they just ran a normal play. Maybe you try and flood the zone, get a ball 20 yards upfield, and then a lateral drill, and it doesn't work out. But to go out in such fashion was just awesome. Like it just, I got to laugh. Like I wouldn't have laughed at the end of it. I would have just been like, yes, love to see the Cowboys lose.
yeah,
But man, to go out in that fashion was just hysterical. It was awesome.
right.
It made the game for me. Um,
What do you
but
think? What in general, like, what's your takeaway related to Dak? I mean, had a very poor
I mean,
performance against Washington. Like you said, had a bounce back game in the first round that was impressive, but
yeah,
um, you know, turned the ball over and just didn't seem to move the team very well. Granted, against the best defense in the league, so I think you have to throw that in.
of
But
course. But I
if you're,
mean,
God forbid, if you were a Cowboy fan, what would be your thoughts today?
I mean, I know they're not happy with him, and I know
Right.
that Cowboy fans are probably pinning most of it on Dak and Mike McCarthy at this point. It's the quarterback and the head coach that's who's going to take the most flack. I mean, he was awful that game. He was bad, and it wasn't just like this is the best defense in the NFL. They're not giving you a lot. Awful. It was like he was throwing the linebackers awful, like hitting
Yeah.
the linebackers in the chest with the ball. He was bad.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's a little bit of Wentz situation where he had that really bad injury and then he hasn't been able to stay fully healthy since, and it seems like it's in between his ears. The kid's got the talent.
I don't
So,
know. I always felt that, like, I think I think I think we're seeing Dak's ceiling, and I think he got to his ceiling very early in his career. So I
yeah,
think there was the sense of, well, he's going to just keep getting better and better and better and better, and that necessarily hasn't happened. Now, having said that, I think he's solidly, give or take a few spots, a top 15 quarterback, and most teams in the league would be thrilled to
yeah,
have him. If we had Dak Prescott, he'd be the best quarterback we've had, you
since
know,
Kirk.
since Kirk. And then I
Yeah,
think that's an interesting comp. I look at the two of them as pretty comparable, but you'd be pretty happy with either one of them being your QB. I mean, more than half the league or half the league would be pretty happy. So I think and also you can't take away the fact that they were what, a 13-win team,
yeah,
and even though he was out hurt for a bit of that, and I think coaching plays a part in all of this too. I don't feel like I feel like the Cowboys are start don't quite have an identity. They want
yeah.
to be a passing team. I don't know that their weapons are the greatest in the passing game.
I was gonna make
Um,
that point. I think losing
beyond the
Amari
top couple
Cooper.
of guys.
Yeah,
Um, and obviously losing Pollard might have hurt them in the Frisco game. It's tough to run against the 49ers, but it was against top defense. But what do you do? Like, it's that situation. If you move on from Dak, where do you go from there? And
it's hard.
interesting. So for sure. But yeah, I think we should get into Championship Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some good games coming up. It's gonna be a classic. Like I think this is gonna be some really really good football coming up here, particularly that 49ers Eagles game. I think that's going to be an awesome game of football because San Francisco has just been this is the hottest team in football in my recent memory. They've been fantastic. And I think they're what 13, 12 wins in a row now, something like that, like just something nuts. Hot at the right time of the year. The Purdy story, super exciting. And Philly was the hottest team in football at the beginning of the year, had some injuries, and now I heard this crazy thing. They've got 21 of their 22 active starters fully healthy in the month of January, going into February. That's nuts. That doesn't happen in the NFL. So they kind of had that little lull, but they were so good at the beginning of the season, they could afford it, clinched that number one seed, and they came out and they reminded everybody who they were against the New York Giants, a pick that your boy made, by the way. And
Who'd your pop pick to go to the Super Bowl?
great pick, a pick I might be regretting. Great pick there. Um, so that's one super exciting. Bengals Chiefs, we'd be setting up for one of the most exciting AFC Championship games ever if Mahomes was not a little hampered. You know he's a dog. He's going to go out there, give it 110%. We just don't know how good his 110% is going to be, unfortunately, especially against that Bengals defense that is solid, that held the Buffalo Bills to 10 points last week. Nobody wants to talk about the Bengals defense. Bengals defense is pretty good. So
No,
that is
the Bengals were impressive. I mean, I was going to wait till we got into this to talk about it, but to me, that was the biggest surprise of the weekend is how
yeah,
dominant they were, and I really didn't expect it. Maybe talks to always got to give a shout out to Ravens Insider.
yes.
Maybe talks to the Ravens being much better. They played that game. The 49 the Ravens Cincy game was a lot closer to the 49ers Dallas game. It was a grinded out type affair.
Yeah,
So I wasn't really sure. Bengals are at the top of the games. Also seems like maybe it's just one of those matchup things, Bengals Bills. I mean, they just, seem to match up really well. But I playing really good ball. Interesting, especially with I guess they came out and said that Mahomes is doing okay, was the quote that I saw.
yeah.
Um, what does that mean? You know, doesn't say a whole lot.
Doesn't
So
mean squat is what that means.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean that's definitely a factor in that one for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game. I mean, the Bengals, I feel like went. It's disrespectful how under the radar they went this year. They had no business going that far under the radar. The reigning AFC champs, I mean, they were like right there in the Super Bowl. They were this close. I mean, if Pirine just makes that catch, they've got it. They're on
Samaje
the
Perine,
Samaje Perine. Jay Gruden was on the edge of his seat for that play. But if Pirine just makes that catch,
former
I mean,
Redskins MVP.
yep, you're looking at a totally different game. But Joe Burrow obviously had his appendix burst in the offseason, so they got off to a slower start, and everybody's like, "Oh, but he was active," and I'm like, "He had his appendix burst. That's not like he can be
Yeah,
active. He's not going to be himself for a couple months." Um, and they've shown as of late, especially Jamar Chase getting back and healthy. He had a touchdown catch, should have been two last week. They're unbelievable. And what I said to you about the Bengals that I think is really cool is that they do everything so well. They don't really have one thing that sticks out, and I think that's kind of what builds the hype is when you have that one thing that sticks out. Like San Francisco's defense is so phenomenal, even though they don't have a fantastic pass game that kind of sticks out ahead. Kansas City's quarterback is so phenomenal, it sticks out ahead of the rest of the team. Cincinnati just can do everything that you want to do a little bit better than you. They don't have anything that really shines over the other thing, and it's because everything is so good. So I'm regretting not picking them to win the Super Bowl. I know we talked about that when I was in Maryland. They were like my early pick, and I talked myself out of it. I mean, I do think the Chiefs probably win by 30 last weekend if Mahomes doesn't get hurt the way they came out. So it's kind of tough. But yeah, I mean, let's not waste any more time. Let's make our picks. We're sitting here breaking down every aspect of the game. We got some pretty interesting stuff. We'll do a quick recap on last weekend's bottom before we get into that. We got Pop was 2-2, 3-7 overall in the playoffs. I went 3-1. I'm 6-4 total in the playoffs. So playoff Dami is in full effect right now. I'm absolutely cooking. But
Yeah, I guess I mean, even if I went, assuming we pick different, which probably won't happen, but even if I went 2-0 and you're 0-2, I know we struggled with math a little last week, but I can't catch you. So
yeah,
I'd have
it's
to go 3-0 with the Super Bowl pick, and you'd have to go 0-3 just for us to tie. So
I've went on bigger slides than 0-3, so it could happen. Uh, but yeah, so go back last weekend if you want to check out all the individual picks. You see that. Go back, watch the last episode. We have shorts on it. You can check all that out. Check out our Twitter. Do you want to let's make the picks for the games now? Do you want to do that first, or do you want to check in on the bracket and then make the picks?
let's make the
Your call,
picks.
Pop. All right,
Make the
let's make the
picks.
picks. 49ers at Eagles. Eagles 2.5-point favorites. NFC game. What do you like?
I like the Eagles. I think that game last week was an indicator of what's coming. Eagles. Sticking with my
Yeah,
Super Bowl pick.
I'm going to stick with mine too. I'm going to take the 49ers. Um, I think we're one game short from the Purdy Deuce. I think that'll be the Super Bowl, but I'm going to take the 49ers. Bengals -1.5 at the Chiefs. What do you like there? I mean, that is just brutal.
I feel like this is my 49ers pick for you going against, maybe what's logical, but I like the Chiefs. They're underdogs at home. Like you said, they're a much more balanced team than just Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to stick with my Super Bowl pick, stick with the Chiefs, especially given little points, 1.5. I'll stick with the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the Bengals here. I just think even if Mahomes is healthy, Burrow's never lost to the Chiefs. So you're throwing a dart at it. Even if Mahomes is
There's
healthy,
always a first time.
there's always a first time. And I predicted that the first time you go back and check out the short, I said it's going to be Bengals Chiefs in the AFC Championship, and the Chiefs are going to beat them. But I just think that high ankle sprain, once you come out of the game, I feel like he might be more hobbled
But
this
you
weekend than
got
he
you
was
got
last
Andy
weekend.
Reid in the lab. He's in the lab. He's going to work knowing that he's got a quarterback's limited in motion. He knows a
Yeah.
lot more whether
I
that
mean,
guy's going to play or not. And this guy's going to maximize whoever he's got on the field. He's going to die. They're going to dial up that defense. Um, I
Pacheco's
think,
can run the ball. He's talented, but
yeah. I mean,
my,
I definitely think going into it, you got to give the edge to Cincinnati.
yeah,
Just knowing all the factors that are involved. But Andy Reid could be the difference in this game.
yeah, and I think, basically with -1.5 and -2.5 lines, you're picking a winner, right? It's not going to be most of the time. The points aren't going to bail us out here. But yeah, it's tough. I respect you for going with Andy Reid. I just think I can't pick against Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, all in full health. I can't do it when Mahomes' health is such a question mark. I think he'll still play great. I think we're still going to have an excellent game ahead of us. Like I said, I think this might be an all-time classic game, but I gotta. My gut's been telling me Cincinnati. I regret not taking it in the bracket, and I gotta follow it. I'm going Cincinnati. I have to stick with it. We've been saying we're on to Cincinnati all year, and the Lombardi Trophy might be going on to Cincinnati this off season. So, with knowing what we know now, just this is a 30-second take. Do you want to change your Super Bowl pick? Do you have a different? You can't go back and change. We're going to hold you accountable, but would you pick a different team now with where we're at? I've obviously said I
No,
think
I
I would
just
take the
told you.
Bengals, but you still got the Chiefs.
I just told you.
Respect, Pop. Respect. This is kind of like a little bit of you got the wise man on one side and you got the young guy following the hot team on the other
It's the
side.
story of this podcast.
We'll see who comes out on top. So let's hit a
That
quick
should be our
playoff.
new bio
Yeah.
description.
the crazy thing is neither the wisdom nor the youth seems to benefit either one of us. It's like we
Well,
can't
they
get
both
our
crack at times. I'm not sure how wise I am sometimes. You're
uh,
pretty wise at times too, but anyway,
yeah, what are you gonna do?
yeah.
Anyways, let's hit our playoff bracket check in real quick. So I am at 13 total points here. I cashed in on 8 points last
You've
week. I had a
gotten all but one pick right
perfect week on the
on a
bracket.
heater.
I'm on an absolute heater. Pop has been 4 of 6 correct on the first week, 3 or 4 correct in the second week. He can't get it right with them New York Giants, man. He picks against them, and then that's
Well,
you got your
I didn't pick the Giants in the bracket, my son. Get your
no, that's
facts
right.
straight.
It was the bot that cooked you. But I do want to
I
take a
mean, it hurt.
second here. I don't want to take a second here. You got your karma for that one because all season it was Kekatsu Day Ball. Your exact
You're
quote,
right.
Kekatsu Day Ball. I,
You're right.
I hate the Giants. I hate the Giants. I hate the Giants. And then what? And all of a sudden, Giants face off against the Eagles and pop. He's got Saquon Barkley on his jersey talking about New York's going to lay the points. They
I
might
said the
upset
Eagles
them.
are. Well, I said that. Yeah, I said the Giants might upset them.
You said they might
I
upset
missed
him
that one
7
pretty
points,
bad.
and he got his karma. New York, they've had my
If
back
you
all year, the
rewind the
Giants.
tape and you go back and you listen carefully to what I said, yeah, I was wrong.
Well played, then. So Pop at 10 points. He's got the Chiefs over the Eagles in the Super Bowl, of
I can
course.
still catch you. I can still catch you.
He can still catch me. He can still catch me. I guess it's going to come down to this NFC game as to whether or not you can catch me because we both got the Chiefs, so we both get burnt there.
If the Eagles
But
Chiefs, like we'd be even on points, and then I guess it would come down to the score.
yeah, it would come down to the score. So good thing I brought that tiebreaker situation up. Our boy I think it's at Wilson27, R Wilson from Twitter. He's he's right
Many
there with
thanks.
me. Many thanks to you. Yeah, we got to give a shout out. We had our first piece of fan art hit the Twitter
That
page. We
was really nice.
appreciate you so much. It was so cool. It's our new header. It was like that made my day. That was really cool to see. So thank you. He's confirmed he's not Russell Wilson. So that's also good. So, shout out to you there, man. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate it. Guys, what are you doing? Follow suit here. Follows it clearly.
Yeah,
Something's
I
good
hope
going
next
on.
season we get a few more participants in the Dom Plot Playoff Bracket Challenge. All I'm
There we
saying.
go. There
Maybe
we
we'll
go.
get
So
that pod out a little earlier next season too
yeah,
to
might have to build it up a little
give
bit.
more of
But
a
then
chance.
we got our Ravens insider there. He's hanging out with Pop down in the 10-point club. But it is looking rough for my boy because he picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl. So I don't think, not a math guy, but he picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl over the 49ers. So given the other picks here, he can't win.
I
Mathematically speaking, our Ravens
can't.
insider's been eliminated, unfortunately. Uh, so
Mi
we're down to
dispiace.
the three of us here. We dispatch all the love to our Ravens insider, but it's not working out for the boy. Did take the Bills. We got a couple minutes here.
I mean, Mr.
He,
Wilson, just to give him a shout out, he's got a pretty bold Super Bowl pick. He's got the 49ers over the Bengals. So
yeah,
if he's right, he could ride this thing to the first inaugural victory.
yep,
No prize money. We're not big enough for that. Hopefully, we'll build, but lots of pride at stake.
yes, lots of pride at stake. And again, super appreciate you for the header. So, you know, I mean, that's pretty much it for the week. I don't know, Pop, if you want to talk a little bit about the situation in Buffalo. There's been a lot of spin coming out of this weekend of can Josh Allen win the big game. It's been pretty
Yeah, I
rough there. I
mean,
don't know if you want to give a quick couple minute take on that before we
I think
wrap.
we're going to need to save some stuff for the off season. I mean, I was just going to
Yeah,
kind of give a recap of things that are really interesting, right? So you get the Buffalo thing, Josh Allen, that's crazy talk. Aaron Rodgers apparently on the trade block. Tom Brady, what team is he going to play for? Is he going to retire?
yeah,
Lamar Jackson, what's happening with that situation? And of course, always plenty of Commanders news. Is Dan going to sell? Isn't he going to sell? I think we save all that, maybe for
I like it.
the week in between championship and Super Bowl. We got a lot of space to fill. Kind of like you
Yeah,
said, bittersweet
it's a
that
good
the
idea.
off season's coming. But now I think we save those takes. Let it brew. Let it simmer a little bit,
Yeah.
and we'll get into a lot of that stuff when we get into the off season. A lot of things to get into. We could talk about. We did preseason top 10 receivers. What's our postseason top 10 receivers? Preseason top 10 quarterbacks. What's our postseason top 10 quarterbacks? Lots of great content ahead. So you might as well already proactively like, subscribe, tell your friends. Occasionally send them a clip, send them a link. Hey, these guys are pretty cool. Check them out on YouTube. We would love you for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So, but anyway, yeah, I say we save all that for the off season.
Yes, I'm all about that. Sounds good to me. I guess maybe we'll have our first off-season adjacent episode going into that Pro Bowl week. That'll be fun.
I thought
Maybe
you
we
would
can.
want to break down the Rui Hachimura trade, but I guess we'll save that for later too. The Wiz.
Yeah, the Wiz, as the Wiz do, they killed my momentum coming into that outro, man. Oh God, I mean, there's nothing to break down. The trade was awful. I
Nah,
don't want to talk any more about it.
we'll talk more
But
Wiz once the football season's done.
yeah, I mean, why waste our time now? But anyways, guys, thank you for another great week. I can't believe how fast it goes. Flies by. I can't believe we're coming up on the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The best day of the year is almost upon us. I said it. The best day of the year is almost here. And we will be there, right there with you guys, breaking down all the wacky picks, all the fun stuff. Maybe we can check out some of the cool prop bets, all that good stuff. We'll get into it.
Son,
Until then, let's
son,
wrap this thing up.
end it right.
I was
End it
just
right.
about to. I was
I
just
know.
about to. You got to
That's
give me
just
the
my
opportunity
line.
to
Just my line. Don't get defensive. I always say, end it right.
end it right. All right. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you guys so much for another great week.